Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm taking a step away from Dior and Chanel for a moment, and I'm going to be looking at the brand new by Terry foundation and also the new NARS. It's the face palette. It is let me have a look. It's the Laguna Ultimate Face Palette 1 because it's come out in two different shades. So we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. But let's start off with the by Terry foundation. I've done my skincare for the morning. The last step is sunscreen. I still haven't got a primer on yet. And I am going to wear a primer with this new foundation. And the reason for that is this is quite a hydrating serum foundation. Those of you that haven't watched my other videos, I am 54 years old and I also have really oily skin as well. It is heading into winter here now in New Zealand, so my skin's not as oily as it would be, say, in the middle of summer, but it is still oily. Now, I've worn this new by Terry foundation twice now, and I think it gives a really beautiful finish, but it definitely has a glowy look to it. So I'm just going to pop on some Chanel primer to begin with. So this is the outside packaging of the new by Terry. It's called the Brightening CC Foundation. As you know, they've brought out other products with Brightening CC, their primers in a few different shades. And I tried that out, I think it was last year for the first time. And to my surprise, it actually works really well with my oily skin. I thought it might be a little bit too greasy, but it actually works really well. So this has the standard 30 mils of product. It is made in Italy. It has, I think it is 24 shades. Now they say this is a hydrating serum foundation and it says it's ultra sheer glowy finish. So it does have a glowy finish, and you can make it quite sheer, but this is also quite unusual with a tinted serum, is that it is buildable. You can definitely get a light medium finish with it. They say that this blurs imperfections, smooths features, and evens out skin tone. And this also has skincare ingredients, and two of the main ones are Japanese rose extract and also contains niacinamide as well. Now this does have a fragrance. It's the signature by Terry Rose fragrance, which I happen to love. I think it's absolutely beautiful, but just so that you are aware, this does have fragrance in it. Now if I can screenshot a list of the ingredients, I will put that up now so you can pause this video and take a look at them and see whether there's anything in there that you may not like or that your skin doesn't agree with when it comes to different makeup ingredients. So this is what the foundation looks like. Comes in a really beautiful glass bottle, feels very luxe, and it has the frosted glass there. It does have a pull-off cap and it has a pump dispenser. So I'm just going to put a pump of this on the back of my hand. Now, the first time that I tried this, I thought, well, since it says sheer, I think I used a pump and a half, but I think one pump is enough. Well, it is for me. I think it gives a really lovely finish. So here is what it looks like, and it appears quite thick, and you can see that it's not running down my hand, and you can definitely smell that rose once it's pumped out on your hand. I don't tend to smell it once I've put it on my face, maybe initially, but it dissipates quite quickly. And I forgot to mention which shade that I picked this up in. This is 3N Medium Light Neutral. And what they have on their website is photos of different models against the different shades that they have in this foundation. So I wasn't sure whether to get 3N or 4N. And when I looked at the photo they had, I thought, no, 4N is probably going to be too deep. But when this arrived and when I first put it on, I thought, oh, this is a little bit too light. But once it's all settled into your skin, I think this is the perfect match. So my shade is 3N. So what I'll do is I'll just dot this on the left side of my face first. And I'm going to put this on just using a brush. I haven't tried this yet with a beauty blender. I'm sure it would go on really beautifully with that as well. And it blends out really beautifully. But for a serum foundation, it gives more coverage than I thought it was going to. In saying that, this is still a light coverage, and as I was saying, you can build it up towards a light medium finish. Now, since I have worn this foundation a couple of times before doing this video, I can let you know how it wears with my oily skin. I think it wears really beautifully because it has that skincare ingredients in it and it's quite moisturizing. It doesn't settle into lines and it doesn't emphasize texture. I think it has a beautiful finish. I'm trying to think which foundation that I've tried maybe the closest to this, and I first thought of, and I think it's probably the closest to Dior have, I think it's called, is it Total Capture or the Capture Total? They have that foundation, and I would say this is very similar to that one. Okay, with one side done, and you can see how it evens out my skin tone. It's not heavy in any way. It just feels very light, and I think it gives a really beautiful finish. You can still slightly see a little bit of redness through here, and I do have a sunspot there, but when you compare it to that side of my face, you can see the beautiful sheer coverage that it gives. So I would say it's even more than a sheer coverage. I would say with the first application, it is be a strong light finish. Now I'm not going to build it up all over my face. What I'll do is I'll put some on the other side in a minute, and then I'll just build it up a little bit just through here, just so you can see how it builds. Now it's not going to build to a strong medium finish or medium to full coverage, because that's not what this foundation is about, but you definitely can build it up from light towards a light medium. So I'm just going to just do the other side of my face now, and still just using that one pump, and I think that is, it's definitely enough, unless you wanted to build it up even more, but I don't really think you need to. I think it's quite nice to have a light foundation where the natural skin just still shines through a bit as well, and that's what can give a foundation a really beautiful look. And it's definitely not mask-like in any way when you have this type of foundation. So just what's left on my brush, I just tap that under my eyes. So just with the one pump and now all on, it really gives just a beautiful finish. It doesn't settle into my pores. I have tried a couple of foundations before where you get that polka dot effect, and that's an awful look, and it doesn't do anything like that. I think it looks really beautiful, and it does have a slight blurring effect, not like say the new Tom Ford Architecture foundation does, because that is fuller coverage anyway. That is a really strong medium foundation, but for a lightweight and light coverage serum foundation, I think this does a really beautiful job at just evening everything out, and it does slightly blur. I think it is really beautiful. Now I'll just show you how you can build it up just slightly more through here. So I'm not going to take a full pump. All I'm going to do is just take a little bit more. The other good thing about this pump is that it is controllable. There are some foundations where no matter how you try just to take out a little bit more foundation, if it's a pump, the whole lot comes out, but you can definitely control it, which is really good. So I'm just going to add just some through here, just so you can see it built up a little bit. And it also builds really beautifully. So you can see now that I put a little bit more through here, it's definitely heading towards more of that medium finish. My sunspot isn't quite as visible as it was before, and any redness, if there was some there, that has definitely all gone now. So I just think it's really gorgeous. Now when I first put this on, it feels like you've put on a lightweight moisturizer. Now, if you had normal to dry skin, you wouldn't necessarily need to powder this, but I need to powder this with my oily skin, because otherwise what would happen is it would go from this really beautiful, it has a really lovely soft glow, but then once my oil started producing and added with the glow that's already there, it could start to look quite greasy. So I am going to powder this foundation, but first of all I'm just going to pop on some concealer, And because this is a really lightweight foundation, I'm going to use the Sisley Concealer. And this is not a full coverage concealer by any means, but what I like about this concealer is that it has a peachiness to it as well. So even though it gives a more light towards medium coverage for a concealer, because it has that peachiness, it corrects and conceals at the same time. So you end up getting really good coverage. So I'm just going to place a little bit through there and then just blend that out. So off camera, I just did my eyebrows and also put some eyeshadow primer on as well. And I've just powdered under my eyes, and now I'm just going to powder my face. So I'm going to use the Chanel, the Natural Finish Loose Powder. This is in translucent. And the other day I also picked up the one that I'd used up last year, this one in the shade 30. So with powdering, I'm just going to use a really fluffy brush. This is the BK Beauty, this is the 102. And I'm just going to lightly tap into the powder there and just do a very light powdering. And this is what I did yesterday, and I found this was enough to set this foundation, and it really lasted beautifully throughout the day. I also find that this wears really beautifully throughout the day as well. And when it tends to wear off, as the majority of foundations do, it doesn't go patchy or anything like that. It just wears off really beautifully. So for the bronzer, I'm going to be using the two bronzers from this new NARS face palette. So this is called the NARS Laguna Ultimate Face Palette #1. There are two face palettes. This is in the light to medium shade, and the other face palette is medium to dark. I think there might be also another eyeshadow palette coming out, I'm not sure. And there's also some eyeshadow sticks that are going to be released as well. The packaging is really lovely. Now the reason that I packed this up is that for once it was actually launched early here in New Zealand. Usually NARS we get quite a bit later. And I haven't bought any NARS for quite a long time. I haven't used any of their powder bronzers before. I've used a couple of their blushes in the past, and I've also picked up, I think, 2 or 3 of their eyeshadow palettes as well. Now I do think NARS do a really good job with eyeshadows. They are usually very pigmented, and I usually have no issues with them blending, and their lasting power is really good as well. So with these face palettes, NARS says you can swipe, sculpt and shade your way to sunlit seduction with Laguna Ultimate Face Palette. Summer awaits inside the all-in-one palette for the eyes and cheeks, inspired by the iconic bronze shade featuring 4 eyeshadows, 2 bronzers and 1 illuminating highlighter. Each eyeshadow creates high impact color in one stroke, while bronzing and highlighting powders softly diffuse to a warm lit from within effect. So this is what the palette looks like. I do think the packaging is really lovely, and here is inside. Now it is not in pristine condition because I have swatched this. I've also tried it as well because I took photos of this in natural light and also did swatches in natural light and popped those on Instagram. So here you have the 4 eyeshadows, you've got the 2 bronzers and also the highlighting shade. So I'm going to swatch the eyeshadows first, and well, first of all we've got Spritz, and this is called, it is a Shimmer Rose Gold. So you can see how beautifully they swatch. They are really pigmented. Next is a matte shade, and this is called Unwind, and this is described as a peach pink. Next is the shade called Heat Spell, and they describe this as satin rust brown. And last is Sizzle, and this is a shimmer, and it is a yellow gold. Next we'll go into the bronzers, and the first one is Laguna 02, the original light medium bronze with neutral undertones. And then next is Laguna 04, and this one is medium bronze with warm undertones. And finally we've got the highlighter, and this is called Drift Away, and this is a champagne shimmer. And here's what they're like with the light turned down. So this is a really warmed tone palette, and I have also tried it, and it is really beautiful. It is also super pigmented, and it does give a really beautiful bold look if that's what you want. I tend to like a more sort of a lighter look, so that's what I'm going to do today. So first of all, I'm going to take the Sonia G brush, and I'm going to start off with this matte shade here, and just tapped in very lightly, and I'm just going to take this all over the lid, through my crease and up onto my brow bone as well. So with just a clean fluffy brush, I'm just going to go over all of that through here, and just to diffuse it out and just soften the edges a little bit. Next I'm going to take the Rapid 02, and I'm going to go into this shade here, and I'm going to just press that just all over my lid. Then I'm going to go back to this shade here, and I'm going to run this under my lower lash line. Then I'm going to go into this shade here, and I'm going to press that into my upper lash line instead of using an eyeliner. And I'll just blend it out a little bit just so you get a hint, just a hint of the shade. And go back with this brush, go into this deeper shade here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this on my lower lash line as well, but just on the outer third through there. Then I'm going to take the Rapid number 3, and I'm going to go into the gold shade, and I'm going to put that in my inner corner. And then I'm going to go into the highlighter shade and pop that on my eyes as well. So I've got the Rapid, this is the number 28. And I'm just going to put that just through here, just to lighten the eye look up a little bit. Now let's put some bronzer on, and I am going to use both of the shades. Now I also use 2 shades of bronzers sometimes with the Chanel one, the beiges, those creamy bronzers. Often I use the lighter shade and then put the medium on as well, and I quite like using 2 bronzers. It gives a little bit more dimension. So first of all, I'm just going to go into the lighter shade. This is with a Sonia G brush. And just blend that through. Now, as I was saying at the beginning of the video, I hadn't used a NARS powder bronzer before, and I love them. I think they blend beautifully, and I love this shade here. This is a real neutral bronze. It just blends out beautifully, and I think it is a really gorgeous shade. The other thing I like about this shade too is that you can build it up if you want to get just more of that shade coming through, but just blends out absolutely beautiful. No wonder they are so popular. Really lovely bronzers. Then I'm just going to go into this darker shade here, and I'm just going to go in very lightly, just a very light tap, and just pop some of that over. So I'll just do the side of my face first, just so you can just see the difference with this second bronzer on as well. So that's just with the first light bronzer, and that's with both of them on. Really lovely. So I'll just quickly do the other side. And for blush, I'm going to use the eyeshadow as a blush today. Now, because these are so pigmented, you do have to go in fairly easy if you're going to use it for a blush. But I use this, I think when I used this palette, I think it was yesterday, I did that, and I thought it was really lovely. So I'm just going to go in very carefully. I can always add a little bit more if I want to. It's just a very light tap, just to give some of this beautiful shade to the cheeks, and it also ties in really well with the whole eye look. So with the highlighter, I'm going to use a fan brush. I'm just going to swatch this again, because if you want to have moonbeams on your cheekbones, you can certainly do it, because it is very pigmented. Now, even though this is a champagne, this has actually got quite a bit of warmth to it as well. So I'm just going to take the Rapha fan brush. I'm going to go in very lightly, just here, and just put just a touch of this just on the high points through there. Add a little bit what's left on the brush just to the brow bone. Really, really pretty. Looks gorgeous. Now for lipstick today, I'm going to use a by Terry one, and these are lip balms, and the formula of these are beautiful. I have 3 of these, and they're just gorgeous. Now, I can't quite read what the shade is here on the bottom. It's something nude, but everything that I put on my face today, it will be listed and linked below in the description box. These have more pigment than your average type of balm, but these are super hydrating. They have a beautiful glossiness to them, and you can see that I've used this quite a bit. It is a great lipstick just to pop in your handbag, and all the 3 shades that I've got I really love, but this one is just a really beautiful nude. And for perfume today, I'm going to use a Jo Malone one, and Liz from Chicago Law Luxury Makeup, she gave this to me last Christmas, as well as some other beautiful things, and this generous sample size was included with a few other Jo Malone things as well. Now this is wood sage and sea salt. Absolutely beautiful. Now this is the cologne, so it hasn't got huge lasting power, but I love the fragrance of this. It's quite a fresh type of fragrance, but has a little bit of that earthiness in it as well. It is absolutely beautiful. So here is the finished look. And I think this is really beautiful. And even though it's coming up to winter here now in New Zealand, for many of you, you are going to be coming into those summer months. And I think this is a beautiful summer look. This is quite a warm palette, so if you don't like those warm tones, then you won't like this face palette. But for those of you that do, I think this is really beautiful. As I was saying, these are super pigmented, these eyeshadows. So if I wanted to go really, really bold, you could, but that's not the type of makeup that I like. I like it more softer. And even though I've gone softer, it still has quite a bit of punch to it, but I think it looks really beautiful. And I love these bronzers. Now, I know they've been around for a long time, but as I was saying, I hadn't tried the NARS bronzers before, the powder ones, and I think they are gorgeous. I love these bronzers, and the 2 shades together is just absolutely beautiful. The highlighter shade is gorgeous as well. It does pack quite a lot of punch, but if you use quite a soft brush, then you just get a really beautiful glow to the high points on your face. And it also works really well over the eyeshadow as well. I think it helps lift the eyeshadow and gives it a bit of a lighter look through here, which I quite like doing with my eyeshadows. But altogether, I just think this is a really beautiful palette. It performs well. It has great lasting power. The eyeshadows, those of you that are fans of NARS and haven't tried these eyeshadow shades before, I think you would really love it. And of course, there's also the Deeper Face palette as well. The By Terry Brightening CC Foundation is absolutely gorgeous. I think it looks just beautiful on my face. Now, I haven't powdered it again from that first light powder that I did, and just when I feel it now, doesn't feel like I need to powder it. Now, of course, the weather is cooler now, and I'm not quite sure how this would wear in the summer months. With my oily skin, I can wear a lot more variety of foundations that I don't need to powder a lot during the day. I'm thinking that I probably could wear this during the warmer months in summer. It's just that I probably would have to just powder a little bit more throughout the day. But I think it gives a beautiful soft finish. It is very flattering on my mature skin and absolutely gorgeous. can't smell that rose fragrance that is in there. I forgot to mention that in the lipstick there is that rose fragrance as well. So really happy with the foundation and really pleased that I decided to pick up a NARS palette when I hadn't tried a NARS product for quite a while. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.